welcome to the Damp Show with me, Damp Sam. I'm back again. Yep. And today, what I want to talk to you about is the Pca, Property Care Association. A lot of people might not know what this association does, so I'm just going to go through basically what they stand for and why they are the number one association for damp and all things damp. So I joined the Pca back in, I think it was 2011, after I found out that there were courses that you could go on and get qualifications. Before this, I didn't know you could get qualifications in damp and all things damp. I think I found out in 2010, and then I sort of did a bit of digging. We joined in 2011 as a provisional member. So I'll just go through mission statement, and then I'll just tell the story of how we ended up in Pca, and I ended up a Pca qualified damp surveyor and structural waterproofing surveyor. So the Pca's mission statement, I'll tell you where they're based. So they're based in Peterborough. They've got two places in, I'm saying Peterborough. It's Huntingdon. It's Huntingdon near Peterborough. I'm only saying Peterborough because I do courses down there with Progressive, so which is not a million miles away. But it's Huntingdon. So they've got two offices in Huntingdon. One is an actual office where I took my exams, and they bought another unit which has got a classroom and it's got a workshop in, and this is where they do all their training for damp technicians and the like. The Pca, they became, well, I'll just tell you mission statement because it might tell you in here. So the Pca, to promote high standards of professionalism and expertise within the sectors represented through training and other support services, to promote these standards outside the association, to ensure that members of the Property Care Association are perceived as the best providers in these specialist sectors: damp control, residential ventilation, timber preservation, structural waterproofing, structural repair, flood resilience, and remediation and invasive weed control. I'll just go on to the next bit. With a comprehensive training program and a wealth of information for members, industry professionals and householders, the Property Care Association works to be the industry expert, always striving to promote the work of the specialist contractor to clients. The Pca provides an industry voice on behalf of members. We work with government departments, respond to consulting documents, and provide assistance with the development of new guidelines, all with the aim of improving outcomes, promoting best practice. I think there's an in there, but there's something over it. So that's the mission statement for the Pca. I'm just trying to move my screen. That's it. I started, I first came aware of the Pca back in around about 2009, 2010, when the rep for Safeguard told me that there were, a body that sort of represents remedial and preservation work. He probably mentioned it before when I saw him on visits, and it's because I was so busy, it went in one ear and straight out the other. Actually, I didn't become aware. I think I came. I'm just remembering now. Apologies for this. I became aware around about 2007 because I went on. I went on a course for basement conversion course with Safeguard, who's one of the manufacturers, and they the guy that were taking that course were one of the lecturers at the Pca, and I just thought that this were a course that everybody did, and I weren't aware about Pca. So when I went on his course, which was a 3-day course, this were down in near Brighton. I can't think of the place, but it's where airport training is. So it were down there, and 3-day course. Thoroughly enjoyed it and got like a thirst for learning, and then found out that there were an organisation that damp contractors can become a member. So it took. I think I took some information and had a read of it, and it were in my office for quite a while. And then one day, I just thought I'm gonna phone up and inquire, see how I join. And when I phoned up, kind of got told that to become a member, they have to do they have to come and do an audit to make sure that that your office is all up to standard, and your vans are up to standard. It's a thorough procedure that they've got a list of things that like they've got to tick off, and things that you've got to provide them. But also the main thing was somebody in your company had to have the damp qualifications or the structural waterproofing qualifications, and I think now the knotweed qualification, which came in after I'd passed my exams. And the only way that, because we were a small company, the only way that I were going to get a damp surveyor to come and work for me was to go and do the exams myself. So I found out what it entailed. So basically, there's a few people online just say it's a 3-day course. I can tell you that it's more than a 3-day course. It spins out of a 6 months, and you go for more than 3 days. You have I think you have an introduction course. Well, you've got to pass 3 for damp one. I mean, I think they've changed it now because it's a different like letters after my name, a CRST, certificated surveying remedial treatments, and they've changed it now. And I don't know what it is, because I don't have to remember it. It's more letters than what I've got after my name. So, but I don't have to remember it, so I'm not really sure. But it's a similar it's the same qualification, but I think it's just done in a different way. And you have to pass an oral exam. You have to pass written exams, and there's a timber identification exam as well. It's not hard if you know your stuff, and to know your stuff, you just got to revise. So what I did after I'd done my initial courses, so you'll go down and do your courses on each. So you do your safety course, health and safety. You do your remedial course, which is all about damp and British standard and things like that. And then you do your timber, which is what it does on tin. It tells you about fungal outbreaks and insect infections and stuff like that. It's not infections. You don't want to be getting infected by an insect. It's infestations. It's early. So I'm probably tired. I've been a bit under weather. So so an infestation. And once you've done them, you go away and revise, and then you'll go back for a day, and there's months later, because your exam date is set in about 3 or 4 months after you've done your first courses, and then you can have a reminder, you go and have a day with it's like a refresher course, and then a few weeks after you're doing your exam. So what I did, once I'd done my first course, I got all my notes, got all my files, and I sat in my conservatory. Every night when I got in from work, I used to open my files, and I used to go through exam papers. So I'd just go over and over again, same exam papers, but I'd write them out. So I'd write the questions out all the time. So this is how I got my revision done. Everybody learns differently, but this is how it sunk into my brain. So I went over and over again, and I had about 6 old exam papers, and I just, for months and months and months, I just kept going over and over again, same questions over and over again. So when I'd done one sheet, I'd just go straight on to the next one. So I used to do about an hour a night. So I'd do an hour on a night, then I'd get up on the morning, and I'd do, I think, half an hour in the morning, just doing the same thing over and over again. Report writing. So one of the questions is that you had to write a report. You got so many marks for getting certain information in top, and then you had to do your report writing based on a question that were on your exam sheet. And they said that they weren't all the same questions and that, but luckily when I got there, they had some new questions that they just changed format, and then they'd put new questions in. But luckily, because I'd done all this revision, I kind of knew it, and all I was going for were a pass mark. So I weren't setting my sights, high and wanting to get like apprentice at year or something like that. Being an average Joe and an average person, I just wanted an average mark. So all I was going for was pass, and that's what you should do in life. You know what I mean? Don't be putting pressure on yourself, saying I need to get 99%. Find out what pass mark is. If it's 50, and go for 51. That's all you need. There's no difference between a surveyor that's got 99% and me, because once you've passed your exam, your learning starts when you go onto site. But like I said, I'd already been on site for quite a few years before I took my exams, so I'd got a bit of an head start. This is why we said Plasters joiners, people that's on site, ideal candidates for becoming surveyors, damp surveyors, structural waterproofing surveyors. So history, I'll give you a bit of history on the PCA. So it was established in 1930 as the British Wood Preserving Association, the BWPA. And every time I see that anagram, I can never remember what it is, but it's only because it's wrote down there that I can remember it. BWPA. If I saw that in next 10 minutes, I won't be able to remember British Wood Preserving Association. I don't know why. I think I've got some kind of what they call it, dyslexia when it regarding acronyms. Was a founding body for the industry with a key aim to spread knowledge of wood preserving with a view to prevent wastage of timber and to standardise specifications for wood preservatives. and their application to investigate all possible methods of wood preservation, and to avoid members' opportunities. It's not avoid. And to afford members opportunities for the interchange of ideas regarding improvements in wood preservation. This extract was from the BWPA inaugural meeting in 1930s. I'm tipping that was just in a pub. I can't see it as being like a formal meeting in an office. Could have been, but I think that were about 4 joiners in a boozer after they've had a few. What we ought to do is set an association up. Us 4. Probably something like that. If you know, send your questions in. If you know how that first meeting went, 1930. So you'd probably be about 90 odd years old. So, but if you know how that first meeting went and how it came about, send your letters in. There'll be somebody out there that knows. In 1977, that's the Queen's Jubilee. I remember that because I were a Cub Scout at the time, and I got a badge, white badge on my arm that my mum had to sew on. She had to sew all my badges on. The British Chemical Damp Course Association, which is the BCDA, was formed, and in 1989 the 2 associations merged to form the British Wood Preserving and Damp Proofing Association. This is acronym that I can never get in my head. That one is the BWPDA. Members of the BWPDA were instrumental in the formation of Guarantee Protection Trust in 1982 to offer insurance-backed guarantees to customers, which became Guarantee Protection Insurance on achieving FSA approval in 2002. So when I do my insurance-backed guarantees, I go through these solely because I'm a member at Pca. These are the insurance-backed guarantee people that you can use, but me and a lot of other members, they use that. So and I've never had any issues with them. All has been spot on. In 2003, 2 divisions were created: the Property Care Association and the Wood Protection Association. In 2006, members of the BWPDA voted for the separation of the Pca and the WPA. Shortly after that, they became individual trade associations in their own right. So this is in 2006. So I don't know why the split. I ain't no inside information into why the split, whether there were any arguments, but the split, and they're 2 different bodies now. And I think Pca is probably a bit bigger than what is it? Have another look. WPA. The Pca is a trade association representing the property care industry. Sectors represented include timber preservation, structural repair, damp control, structural waterproofing, flood recovery, flood protection, and invasive weed control. So that's like an overview of what the Pca does and how they got to where they were. I think that they do a brilliant job. So I did my training there. I got me damp surveyor's certificate, which is coming handy for me. But straight after that, I wanted to do my waterproofing qualifications as well, because I had a notion that I'd be doing basements and stuff, just to have an extra string to my bow, and so I could, if we were doing a basement conversion, I'd know exactly what I was doing, because you don't want to be playing with that. So I went and did me exams, and passed. So I was chuffed to bits about that. And again, I used the same method for revising. I sat in my conservatory and just went over exam papers over and over again, as well as doing all these courses as well. Going online. I think it'd probably be a bit easier now, because a lot of stuff after COVID, a lot of companies put courses online, and there's a lot of information that's there in PDFs, in well, basically Zoom courses, so you can get all that information, and then you can start digging and do your own kind of research. And not just them, but a lot of the manufacturers have put their information online, so it's so easy to get this information, and then contact people, to kind of clarify it. So I passed my exams, and I hadn't told you is, before I did my surveying exams, I went on the Technicians Course. So I did the Pca Technicians Course, which back then were a 2-day course. Even though I'd been doing damp proofing for like 11 years up to then, I just wanted to know what these courses were like, and just see if there were any out there I'd missed, and there were loads of things that new information that I picked up, and new methods, because you're always learning. That's the thing. I'm still learning now. That's why I watch anybody that in our industry that does a video. I'll watch their videos. Neil Marsden, brilliant surveyor, puts his videos on YouTube, and is giving all his information that he's got, all his knowledge and wealth that he's gained from being a surveyor since dinosaurs were on this planet. I watch them, and I still learn stuff off Neil. Neil is one of lecturers and takes the apprentice course at the Pca. So all the young lads, and I'm saying young lads, majority of them are in the 20s, I think, and they've already done some kind of trade, or they've been working, for a damp company for a while. They go there, and then they learn, how to damp proof properly, drilling, injecting, alt timber work, and they can actually do it hands on, because they've got bays down there, and they can be shown, and splicing timbers, things like that, treating woodworm, different types of woodworm, identification. It's fantastic. And that the apprentice course, what Pca have got, is that's over I think it's over a year or over 2 years. I might be wrong. It might be just a year, but it's funded by CITB. So if you're a company that pays a levy or does stuff with CITB, then you get so much of this money back. CITB should be paying a full grant for this, and they don't pay a full grant. They started off paying a full grant as a specialist system, and for some reason, I don't know ins and outs, But for some reason, the CITB cut back the money that employers could have for their employees going on this course, which, again, there's a massive shortage in our industry. You'd think that they'd be wanting these specialist technicians coming through. It definitely put me off getting an apprentice. Really put me off, because I've got to send. We're based in Barnsley. We've got to send our lads all the way down to Peterborough. They've got to stop overnight when they're on course, because I think it's for a week at a time, and we've got to pay for all the digs and everything. You know, you get like so much towards it, but in first instance, you got full award. So as employers, we're having to put something towards it, rather than get all money for training. I know everybody thinks we're rich, we're millionaires, but it's only recently that I've thought, well, I can send him through that, because if you are having to contribute towards it and they're having these, a week off at a time, then if they then decide to leave after they've done this course, your employers are going to be a bit peed off, because that's money that they've had to shell out and things like that. But I think what employers are doing is that they're only sending people on this course that they really think aren't gonna leave. It's like, if you seem like a nice kid. I mean, I've had apprentices, and we've sent them to college, like doing plastering. They've been on the third year, and then decided to leave after they've passed the third year plastering, but leave to go to factories. They've gone to ASOS because ASOS pay better. I've had three do that. So I had James, two Jameses. I'm not going to get another James again. They both went to ASOS, and then Lewis, who he kind of went working for his son for a bit, and then I think he went working with his dad on railways or something like that. So when I were an apprentice, I got better while doing jobs on my own. So it was like you'd get a spare time job. So as I was learning, if I were working for a company or working with a subby, somebody had asked me to do something on a weekend, on a Saturday. So Saturday mornings I'd go and do this job, and that's how you learn. It's hard to make your mistakes when you're with when you're an apprentice and you're with someone, because they'll see your mistake before you've made it, and they'll kind of help you out with it. If it's your job and you make that mistake, you just want to sit down and cry. I can remember first ever job that I did, spare time of plastering. So I'd not got a van. I don't think I could drive. I think I was 18. And I got a quarter. The college let me have a quarter of a bag of Browning. This is how good they were at college. This was when you could talk to to guys at college. They borrowed me a trowel and an handboard, and they let me have. It weren't even a quarter of a bag. It was like a fifth of a bag of Browning. Bear in mind, Browning bags were as big as a coffin back then, so it was like a fifth of a bag. And I carried it home, so I'd got no car, so it was an old mill lane, and I walked home with this quarter of a bag of stuff. I bought a bag of finish, a full bag of finish, but I'd got no. I knew that I didn't need a full bag, so they said, "Oh, yeah, take that, fifth of a bag." I don't even think it was a fifth. I think it might have even been an eighth of a bag. So I've took this eighth of a bag home. I've said to my mum and dad, in fact, I think it was somebody my mum knew. She'd been phoning round, and she'd got a patch in her pantry, and she couldn't get anybody to plaster it because it was so small a patch. And she lived on Rotherham Road. I lived on Newlyn Drive. She lived on Rotherham Road. So I came home from the job I was doing, and I'd gone to look at it. I saw that it was like a round patch, about that big, underneath a cold shelf in a pantry. I thought I can do that. I can manage that. I'd easily be able to do that, even though I'd never done a spare time job before, and I'd only been doing I'd only been plastering a year and a half. I can do that, but I didn't have a clue on prices. How much do you charge? What do you charge? So I said, I'll tell you after how long it takes me. And I don't think I got to sleep thinking how much I was going to charge her, asking everybody, what do I charge? So I went on this night. So I asked my dad if he'd take me up in car. So I got somebody give me a tiler's bucket, which was about that big. It weren't a proper bucket, but with the red tile adhesive in. So that's all I had. And I think I had a water bucket. So I had one of my mum's old buckets. So I had these two buckets. I had a trowel from college, an am board, and then this browning, and then my finish. Put my finish down up floor, bag of finish bust, so it all split down one side. So that was my first thing. I got no sheets. Went into thing, and what I did know though, I knew I needed something to mix it with. And I'm looking in my dad's garage, and I got it was leg of a chair. So it was leg of a chair. It was purple. I can remember it now. It was about that big, but it had been turned, so it kind of went in and out like a baluster. And what I did, I nailed 6 inch, because my dad had got some 6-inch nails. I nailed some 6-inch nails through it at different angles, so there were like spikes sticking out of it. And it looked like one of the. I used to see cartoons when I was younger, and they'd have like a Captain Caveman style like baseball bat wedge thing, and they used to have spikes hanging out to biff somebody up, and probably a bad weapon there. So I basically had one of these, like an old medieval weapon with all spikes going through it at the bottom. And idea was it'd be like a whisk. That was me thinking. So I gets into the kitchen, and I pours this browning into the bag, and I put my water in, what I thought were enough. Put all browning in, started mixing it with this spiky baluster, and I'm mixing away. I'd never mixed browning in a bucket before. It had been mixed for us at college. I think they'd used a proper whisk. So I'm mixing it up. And anyway, I seem to be there ages and ages, putting a bit more in, put a bit more in. And it looked thick enough on top, like it looked decent consistency. And we'd always used a spot board at college. So I'd got no spot board, but they had a piece of hardboard. So I put a piece of hardboard on floor next to where I was going to be putting this browning on. Bear in mind, I didn't know how much I was mixing as well. So I'd done like a full tile bucket. And I started to tip it onto this little spot board that I'd got. And top bit of browning came out, and then underneath it just all water. It had not mixed right. So on it top bit had mixed, and rest was just water, and then water just ran all over the floor, all over in kitchen floor. It's like stress levels were just up here. I was sweating, and this is getting to like 7 o'clock at night now. So a woman come, and she got me some towels and mopped it all up. Bear in mind, it's all full of vermiculite, this browning water. so I just stressed up to bits. Anyway, I got a bit of stuff on my hand, but I damp wall down. Anyway, I was trying to put it on, but it was too wet. It was just really wet. Anyway, I got it on eventually, and I put all waste bit back into bag that were that I'd had browning in, and then I'm stood there because I was gonna I wanted to skim it, and I don't know why I thought that I could skim it straight away. I don't know. I just thought. So I said to her, I said, I'll go for my tea, and then I'll come back and skim it. So I walked down to because I knew it had to set a bit. I walked down to our house, had my tea. It was about 7:30, and then I walked back up. Got back up for about 8:00, 8:15, and then mixed mixed some finish up, and then put finish on. And blended in this patch, and it was blebbing and everything because backing was just too wet. So I put it on, and I'm just stood there waiting, and trying to get it off. A woman kept coming in, making me a cup of tea. She was like a lovely old woman, and finally, around about 11:00 at night, I got it flat enough with no blebs in to look decent enough to paint. So and kind of blended in after like sort of 7 hours or something. And then she says to me, how much do you want? And I'd still to get all stuff down to our house. I had to carry everything down. She says, how much do we owe you? And I said, £18 alright. So I charged her £18. So my first ever spare time job was £18, and it was just worst experience in my life. It was just worst ever, just stressed up. And I work it next day and all. I got down to our house about 11:30, and I didn't take it. I must admit it must have scarred me for a bit because I didn't take another spare time job on for it must have been a year till I got proper better at it, better at plastering, and knowing my levels and things like that, and how to mix a bit better. But that learnt me a lot. It learnt me a lot. Thinking that I could just go and do a spare timer, but you've got to go out there and start doing it, and that's what I was saying about apprentices. They've got to try and make their own mistakes. None of my apprentices kind of do that. I couldn't wait to be doing spare timers and getting some money, extra money from your weekly job. And everybody did it at my college. They all did it. All lads did it. That's what we used to talk about. I've got a spare timer this week, and I'm earning whatever. I'm doing it £80. I mean, I've skimmed rooms. Another spare time that I did down Ward Green. I went price it up. Don't know how to price a job up. Went and had a look at job. Bloke was lovely bloke, absolutely lovely bloke he was. And I couldn't drive then, and he'd said it'd been recommended by somebody I'd done a bit of patching for, who lived next door, and he says, I'll come and, because he rung up our house, and he says, I'm wanting some plastering doing. I've heard you're not bad. I heard you good. I think he just wanted it cheap. He heard I was cheap because I didn't know how to price up for stuff. And I said, well, I can't get there. I says, because my dad used to take me to price jobs up, and I think he was working. He says, I'll come and pick you up. So he came and picked me up, and I went in and with my notepad and pen, and I'm looking at it. And it was a semi-detached, and it was his back room, and it had a door on, and it was Artex. So it was an Artex ceiling. So this was about 1987, 86, 87. I think it might have been 86 actually. It had been 85, and you imagine what architects were like back then. They used to do it the ends, finger pattern, and it's just like stalactites hanging down. It were massive. It was just everybody had to go to architects in because they thought they could do it the ends, and just made a right mess. So we've gone in, and I think he'd bought this house and we're doing up a room at a time. And I had a look at ceiling. It's all architects and that, and it didn't look that big room. I thought, I were anxious and that because I were pricing up, and I were trying to make them think that I knew what I were on with. And I says, oh yeah. And he's like, how much will it be then? And I didn't know what I were doing, and I were like, and I'm thinking, well, and I think I were getting, I don't know, how much were I getting? 20. I don't know whether I was still on scheme or whether I were on, I think I was on community programme. So I'd been getting 50 quid a week, and I looked and I thought, well, I could get this done in a day. I just went, well, I can get it done in a day. So £60. I think I said 66. £66. It'll be me writing up back at like a cig packet or something. £66. Give it him. And a mistake that I made, I just thought, well, what I'd want for that day or week or whatever, how long it had take me, and I'd not added my materials in. So I had to get stuff, and it bloke took me to buy stuff. And I don't know, I think I thought that I'd got in my head that old bags are finished. In fact, they did, old bags are finished. I read in plastering book, because this is where I'm getting my information from, J.B. Taylor, that a bag of finish did 26 square metres. So I'm looking, 26 square metres. Two bags will easily do this. Like 2 bags will easily do this. I think I bought 2 bags to start with, and I got some scrim. Didn't take into consideration I'd got to scrape all Artex down. Didn't take into consideration I'd got to PV8 walls. Just thought I'm just going to be straight in skimming. I'd got a load. I think I got some battens and that, some step ladders, and it was just an absolute nightmare. I went on Saturday morning. Bloke picked me up Saturday morning. Mixed me 2 bags up. I think I only covered the ceiling and one at walls. So bloke said he'd go and get some more. I think he realised that I'd underpriced it, and he went and bought rest at Plaster for room, and then I had to go Sunday, all day Sunday, and then I had to do 2 nights through a week to finish it off. And it, well, you can imagine what it was like. I was just stressed up. And then when I'd finished, I mean, I did a decent job, and when I'd finished, bloke said, "How much is that you want?" And I says, "Oh, just £66, mate." And he goes, "Are you sure? You've been here 2 days and 2 nights?" And I says, No, I told you, that's what I said at the beginning. I'm not going to charge you any more. And I think he gave me like a 76 quid or something, or 80. I think it might have been 80 quid. And I still felt awful over that, because I just felt, well, I've given him a price, and I've gone over, and I was mortified because I'd gone over, and I'm thinking, well, I'll be telling people I've been trying to rip him off because he gave me this price. I mean, some people would have done back then. I have had that before, and you're trying to say it's a bit extra because you've had this and you've had that. And people think you wanted to take the dog out and show it or something like that. So that was my introduction. I mean, I've got loads of stories like that about doing spare timers. In fact, same bloke, because he must have liked what job that I did. But same bloke, he asked me to do it was his back bedroom. So it was their back bedroom that he wanted skimming. So this time I think I gave him a price. This is after like about a year. I think he got around to back bedroom. He'd done some alterations. We're ready to do this now. And I think it had been about 9 months because I still weren't driving. And he said, I'll come and pick you up and all that. Like, so I went to give him a price, and he said, yeah. And he says, when can you do it? And I said, well, I can come Saturday morning. And I said, I'll come Saturday and I'll finish it on Sunday. And he's like, all right. So I went on Saturday morning, again scraping Artex down, trying to climb over the bed and that. I put some sheets down and everything. He got wardrobes, like scraping ceiling down. And I think, something makes me think, I'm just trying to think now, why were I doing ceiling on Sunday? I think I'd done a bit more in another part of the house, and then I was doing this bedroom, that was it. And so I went on Saturday, did them bits, and I'd got prepared upstairs, all my sheets down and everything, to skim this ceiling. So it was a question of scraping it down and skimming it. I think they only wanted ceiling doing in that room. And on Saturday night, we went in town, and I went round with my mates, and for some reason, I think it was Dean Ruards, he decided, he says, let's go round on all, because pubs then had just started selling like Red Stripe and stuff. Not like today, where it's all bottles and you can get any one. There were only certain pubs, like newer pubs, that were selling these Red Stripes. And he says, let's go round on all strongest beers, pills. So we started on cans. Rather than having like A for lager, which were cheaper, we all went round on strongest beers. So it were like Red Stripe, bottles of pills, which were I didn't drink, but it was strong. Tenants, just awful drinks that you wouldn't drink. Tenant Super, I think it was. So we'd gone round, and I think last drink that we had, we went in number 7, and I'm looking at thing. I was drunk. Bear in mind, we'd only gone out from 7:30 to, I think it was about 11:30, and we'd been throwing them down. Not to the extent you do when you go out now. I mean, like kids now, they drink before they go out, don't they? But it were I can remember last drink that I had. I mean, I weren't like passing out. I was drunk, but I weren't one of them that passed out and stuff like that and didn't know where I was. But I can remember being drunk and my head spinning and thinking, I'll just get a small can. So they were all asking me what I wanted in number 7, and you could see fridges behind bar. And I saw this little can of lager, lager, and I says, I'll have that there, that, and they were all like, oh, it's only if. It was a kind of what's called barley wine. It weren't even lager. So they put it in a glass, and I remember drinking that. And I don't know what percentage it is. I think it's about 9% barley wine. And then I went to them, and I was absolutely ill. I threw up all night. My bedroom, back our extension, were a flat roof extension, so I just got window open, and every 2 minutes I was out at window, throwing up. And then I must have dropped back to sleep, and I also remember my dad checking me. Dad, Simon, there's a man at the door. He's come to pick you up. I was like, I woke up, I thought, oh no, I'd forgot I was working Sunday morning. And he says he'll come back in an hour. You need to get up. So I had to get up, get me stuff out of the thing. I just got a right headache. I could hardly open my eyes or like that. It was just, light was just making my head ache. Anyway, he come back in an hour. I tried eating got some toast, tried eating a piece of toast. My mouth was that dry, I couldn't even swallow. So I just must have been reeking of ale. Gets in the car with him, and he's like trying to talk to me. It's like fresh as old to him, not been drinking, and I was just like dying. Got to his house, and I thought I was going to throw up in the car. I was like trying to hold it, all spit coming in my mouth. got to his house, and I went straight upstairs. He says, "Do you want a cup of tea?" And I went, "Ah." Gets upstairs, put radio on, and then I just threw up in water bucket. But there were there were no coming out. It was just yellow bile from my stomach. I remember seeing it, and so I sat up bed and just sweat were just pouring off me. Come up with tear, and he's trying to talk to me, and I'm like, oh, and I just must have reeked to hell. He must have known I were badly. And then he went back downstairs, and they kind of left me there. And I remember having a sip of tea, and then just throwing it back up. And then I got my stuff mixed, and I was putting the ceiling on, and I kept having to sit down because I was just room was spinning and everything. That was worst day I've ever had plastering, and my head was I just got worst earache all day. And when I got back, when he took me home with all my stuff, I think I said I'd come back for stuff next day. I still had earache. I went to bed, and I think I woke up with earache next day. Lesson learned. If you're going to be working next day, don't be boozing. Don't be boozing, kids. Don't be boozing. So I think I'm going to wrap this up. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed me going off on a tangent about apprentices and things. If you're an apprentice, get some jobs done outside. But remember, don't be boozing night before. If you want to contact me, Damp Sam, have a look on YouTube. We've plenty of videos, jobs to do with damp proofing and waterproofing, everything. So it's in a no nonsense manner, the way I come across on radio, straightforward, no professor like videos, and you'll see how things are made. So you can have a look on my YouTube videos. You can have a look on Facebook group. You can send your pictures in. Why does my house why does my property have damp Sam? So join our group and send your pictures in, and I'll comment on them for free for now, because I don't know if I'm going to be charging in future. It's we're getting a lot of interest in it. I've got other things to do as well, but I do try and answer everybody's questions and stuff like that. And if you want to email me, it's dampsam@thedampshow.co.uk. So that's all I've got left to say, and see you on the next one. Ta-ra!